So it has been a while since Liko has captured a new Pokemon. Episode 21 was her last capture. She has had a few evolutions since then, but I think we all want her to get a third Pokemon, just to mix things up a little bit. So today I'm going to talk about which Pokemon she could possibly get next, and one Pokemon that is destined to be with her. So at the moment Liko of course has Florigato and Hattrem. I love both of these and how well they work with Liko. Florigato sometimes can be a bit prickly, but it cares so deeply for Liko and is always there to help out when needed. And Hattrem has this whole gimmick of sensing feelings, which is literally the most perfect Liko Pokemon ever. So Horizons has cooked with these team members, and the same goes for Dart and Roy's Pokemon. They carefully pick the Pokemon and don't just add team members willy-nilly like some previous series have done. So I can appreciate that they aren't rushing just to give Liko a bunch of new Pokemon. I personally enjoy the smaller teams because it gives us more time to flesh out the Pokemon we do have. Obviously it is a different case if we get to like 150 episodes and it's still the same, but I'm not too worried about that. It's pretty tough to go through all 10,000 Pokemon that exist and pick one specific one that fits Liko. I think Hatenna, when it came along, was a no-brainer, so her next Pokemon would have to be something similar, but also something unique in itself. Looking through the Paldea decks alone, I think the Nimble line would be pretty cool for Liko, just because it's such a fan favourite already, and giving the main character a low kicks would just add a bit of fierceness to Liko's team, which I think is needed. And then something cool would also be an Armarouge. We haven't seen it yet, which has really surprised me. It would be a perfect counter to Amitheo's Ceruledge, and seeing Liko care for a Charcadet would be perfect. I can already picture it. I think if it's not Liko, someone in the group has to get one eventually and evolve it into an Armarouge. Continuing through the Paldea Pokemon, I think a Glimmet would fit Liko quite well. It has quite a mystique to it, it's quite graceful and would fit her nicely. But it depends if they're planning on battling with Geeta, and if so then probably best to leave that reveal of Glimora until her battle. There's not much else for Paldea that I can see. Maybe a Fluttermane would be cool. Honestly it's really hard to put any of the Paradox Pokemon with trainers, because you can't help but think of their originals. But Fluttermane would be funny. I can see it hanging off Liko's head and getting in the way, making for some funny moments with the rest of her Pokemon. On to other regions, and pretty randomly I could see Liko having a Mareep. I just think it would fit her personality. Then they could eventually evolve it into Ampharos. It's such a great line and I love to see it in the main cast of Pokemon. And the same goes for the Swablu line. It fits her theme, it kind of matches her colour palette, and it would make up for that one that they didn't give to May. I'd also love to see a Hisuian Pokemon join the fold at some point. Recently seeing Perrin and her Growlithe, which probably would have been perfect for Liko, but I think a Zorua would also be super cool. And it goes from this tiny cute thing to a pretty scary Zoroark, so imagine Liko's reaction when it evolves into this, and she's got to try and deal with its change in personality. I think that would be a really interesting dynamic. So out of all of them mentioned, I'd have to say Hisuian Zorua, Mareep or Charcadet would probably be my favourites to join Liko. But let me know what you think as well. What do you think would be the perfect Liko Pokemon? And just to add some further speculation, Pokemon Horizons episode 76 is titled Why Not? Is It So? So we're getting an episode about why not, and a lot of people have speculated that this could possibly be a capture for Liko. We don't really know too much about this episode. It could just be a complete filler about a why not and some shenanigans going on, but I could also see Liko actually capturing a why not. It would be a pretty fun, goofy Pokemon for Liko to own, and we haven't really had this line on a main character other than Jessie's Wobbuffet, so it'll be interesting to see what sort of role it could play if it did belong to a main character. It does match Liko's colour theme, and I could definitely see it chilling out in her hood and just causing all sorts of shenanigans with her other Pokemon, so I think it could actually be a really fun addition for Liko. And even if it evolved into Wobbuffet one day, it'll be interesting to see how she learns to battle with it, obviously using Counter and Miracle and not really having much else. But I think this would be cool, but I don't really know if this one's going to happen. But now it's time to talk about Terapagos, the dude on the thumbnail. I think Terapagos is going to be one of the most satisfying Liko captures when it finally happens. It's basically hers already, it lives in her damn bag, she looks after it, but I think when it gets its power back, it will eventually just decide to become Liko's full-time Pokemon once the journey to Rakua is over. and I hope to see her capture it and battle with it one day. But a proper capture towards the end of the series would just be a perfect way to wrap up this storyline, so I'm pretty confident that that could happen, unless Terapagos decides to stay in Rakua or something with the 6 heroes, but I'd love to see her officially own this Pokemon. It's been a long time coming. And with all the recent stuff that's just been confirmed about Ristal and Liko and Diana actually being descendants of Ristal and Lucius, this could be a massive hint at Liko potentially capturing Terapagos eventually, seeing as it was confirmed that Ristal actually was the one that owned Terapagos, so it would make complete sense for Liko being a descendant to carry on in their footsteps and capture Terapagos herself. We might even see a scene where Ristal gives Liko the Terapagos, where she kind of passes on the baton to Liko. And then I guess Liko would carry on this adventure, and eventually Terapagos would regain all of its powers and we'd eventually see its grand stellar form. We'd see Liko get the best out of its powers and use it to help in this final battle for Rakua. But that's it for this one. I hope we get a new addition to Liko's team very soon. Let me know who you want to see her capture. It has been a long time coming. We've got no new captures in the last arc, so surely we're bound to see some in this arc. But that's all I've got for now. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.